George is a big guy, the kind of fellow who might even be somebody's bodyguard, except that he has the personality of a big teddy bear. Recently retired and divorced, George came into my office to share a story with me about something that happened to him. "Reverend Mary," he said, "last year you told us that if we would let go of one habit that was limiting us, however small, in 1 year our life would be transformed. I want to tell you what happened to me. For most of my life, I've had a habit of biting the second knuckle on my index finger like this." He bent the finger and put the knuckle between his teeth. "I even developed quite a callus on both sides of my finger. Well, I decided it was time to give up that habit. I've done pretty well at it all year, but let me give you a little background on this thing. When I was 6 years old, I saw my baby brother hit by a car and killed. He was 2 years younger than me. I had just run across the street and he was following me. Just the day before, I was told to watch for cars and to look out for my little brother. We'd been very close, and I was heartbroken. Sometime after that, I began to bite the back of my right hand between the knuckles of my first two fingers. I constantly had a callus there about the size of a $50. Whenever I felt angry or frustrated, I'd bite the top of that hand, right there on that spot. By the time I was a teenager, I guess I thought that was too childlike to do, and I switched to biting the one knuckle on my hand. I kept right on doing that until Easter of last year. After hearing you talk, I decided it was time to give up that habit. This year in March, almost 1/2 year after your Easter talk, I was spending the day with my grandson at the park, and I noticed that I bit my knuckle that day. How come? I was also feeling a lot of love for my grandson as I watched him swing under his own locomotion. After I took him home, I went to visit some friends. I was feeling anxious that the laundry I'd meant to do was still in the trunk of my car. And as I drove home that evening, my anxiety was still rising. I was so rattled that I knew it had to be more than just the unfinished laundry. I had this huge knot in my stomach. I thought about my little grandson, who was just about the age of my brother had been when he died, and I realized that it was coming up on the anniversary of my brother's death 55 years ago. I love that little guy so much, I thought to myself, and I'm afraid he'll be taken away. I knew right then that was just the way I'd felt when I lost my little brother. I somehow had it wired up that loving my brother so much had caused me to lose him. But this last year, I was changing and not really seeing it. During that day in the park, I was expressing true love for my little grandson, more love than I'd given to my 5 kids and both my former wives. Since that day, I've shared this story with them, all of them. I've tried to make amends for all the love that I withheld from my family all these years for fear that I'd lose them. Reverend Mary, I know that if I was still biting this knuckle every time I felt mad or sad or frustrated, I wouldn't have uncovered any of this. It was giving up that one habit that taught me so much, and all this love transformed in 1 year by taking one little action. You were so right. I've been officially retired since the 1st of May, but now I'm ready to be retired. This summer, I'm just going to play with my grandson. I feel like I finally got my little brother back.